I'm Kim, and I am a counsellor, and I'm also doing my teacher training in mindfulness. I'm not sure what you know about mindfulness. Essentially, it is an intentional way of being present in the moment and looking at your thoughts without jumping into them, but sort of observing them on a generation game conveyor belt style. So sort of looking at your thoughts, not being in them, as well as your physical sensations and your emotions. The important thing to remember is that it's non-judgmental. Very often we get stuck in our own cycle of beating ourselves up because we feel or think a particular way. There is a whole load of scientific research out there talking about the benefits of mindfulness. It changes the brain through neuroplasticity, and we're just learning more and more about it all the time. And mindfulness has actually come from Buddhism, so it's very, very old, but the research is just backing it up now. So it can reduce depression, it can reduce your blood pressure, it can make you happier, feel more content, improve your concentration. And it allows you that space to have choices in how you react to things rather than a knee-jerk reaction, which is very habitual. So it buys you a bit of time, really. I'm doing my teacher training in mindfulness through an organisation called Breathworks. They're a not-for-profit organisation based in Manchester. And the lady who has developed the approach and the company herself suffers chronic pain, and she's a Buddhist. And she's come up with 2 courses which come from mindfulness-based stress reduction, and then the one that I'm really interested in, which is the mindfulness for health. I have chronic pain, and I've used mindfulness in my chronic pain. And here I am, walking, talking, dancing with Rachel, and at one point I wasn't doing any of those things. I'm running a practice course for my Mindfulness for Health as part of my teacher training starting February. The mindfulness courses are generally 8 weeks, and they last for 2.5 hours, but in that you do have a break, and part of the Buddhist tradition, although I'm not Buddhist, is that we always have biscuits. Sorry, not homemade. And what things we would look at as part of our Mindfulness for Health course would be looking at our thoughts and the negativity bias that's in the brain, the primary and secondary sources of suffering. For most people, and certainly for me, it's these secondary sources that cause the most pain. So the primary sources, for me, my back pain, the secondary sources would be I feel rubbish, I'm useless, I can't go back to work, all those sorts of things. So we'll be looking at those. Acceptance and a softening towards the unpleasant, which kind of sounds counterintuitive, but it's very, very powerful, and it works. Obviously there's meditation, and there's lots of fun and laughter. We'll be doing mindful movements, which are based on yoga, Pilates and Qigong, and finding pleasure in the small things. And as part of trying to get out of our habitual way of being, there's a habit releaser that you're encouraged to do each day, which could be something as simple as watching the steam or a cup of tea, or watching the clouds. The most important thing about the Mindfulness for Health is exploring the boom-bust cycle and analysing your own life. You keep a diary for a week of what you do, and then from that we can work out your baselines, which is something that doesn't happen in the NHS. They tell you to do more and rest more, but they don't tell you really how. So the secret for both health, for mind and body, is not to mourn the past, worry about the future, or anticipate troubles, but to live in the present moment, wisely and earnestly.